Oh yeah, literally. You can have someone. I think I could have understand this game as 3 years old.
Hello and welcome to this episode of World Building. Today we will be reviewing Lion Rampant by Osprey Games. So this is a game that was released in 2014, and it is a skirmish level war game. So it's not a role-playing game, it's really for wargaming. So like usual, we will be scoring by presentation, playability, mechanics, and immersion and support. Not all categories are weighed equally, so some categories are more important than others. So let's jump right into it. And Zack, what do you think about Lion Rampant's presentation?
Well, I have a few things that I want to say for that. One of the things in particular is I think the game looks really amateur, the way it's presented, which is for me a really big no. Like the font is vomit-inducing, as I wrote in my notes. I don't like the images. I know you do like it, but I just feel the painting is not that great of a job. The way they do like their background and everything, it just looks like a normal game. Which is not.
Well, I think that's the feel they're going for.
Yes, exactly. And that's a problem for me. Also, the last thing is that I feel the flavor text are really stupid. I've read like a couple of them and I don't understand why they even write it. They sound like jokes. Make your leader stand out. ... Fancy headgear is a good indicator. Foundry models from the author's collection. That's a flavor text. That's the worst flavor text I ever read in my life. How is that possible?
I think it's just saying you can get a miniature here if...
Yeah, exactly. Which is not well written. It's the ... in the middle is just... Oh my God. I can't. I have another flavor text for you. Oh, the glamour... ... Mounted men at arms swam about like they own the place. Parentheses, which they do. What is that, Dora the Explorer? Like, it's so... Oh my God, it's so stupid. I can't. The flavor texts in this book are the worst thing about it. They sound like a joke. So I can't forgive that. So your score. My score is 3 out of 10. So I'll let you explain.
Okay, so... for presentation, I also don't like their presentation. I think that the structure could be better. The only thing I give them is it's in color. They have images. Yes, it's pictures of miniatures, and I think it's okay. So I gave them 5 for presentation. So then playability, Zack. What do you think about playability?
So now on a more positive note, for sure. So this review for me is not a shit sandwich. It's kind of the opposite. Because I started with the shit and now I'm going into the sandwich. So it's shit bread shit. So for the playability, I gave it a pretty good score because I think it's really easy to learn. You taught me how to play in literally 5 minutes. Anyone can take it and play. It works super well for if you have a skirmish game. Yeah,
you could play with children.
Era. Oh yeah, literally. You can have someone... I think I could have understand this game as 3 years old.
Okay.
Also, for the playability, I'm going to add that you can buy any miniature for this game. It doesn't force you. It's not like Warhammer where you have to sell your soul to Satan to play 5 minutes. For this game, you can literally go to a convenience store. Convenience store, buy a sac surprise bag, get a small dinosaur from it and say this is your archer, and that would work. You could use pencil eraser, the game would work anyway. So that's something that for me is amazing.
Yeah, you could literally just take sticks and say, okay, these sticks are my archers and these sticks are my infantry, and it would work.
Or you can do like Shad and take Lego block. That would work very well.
Lego blocks
actually.
would work.
Yeah.
So that's very good for playability. You have, you need terrain, you need something to indicate your troops, but all of that isn't imposed on you. So you can take pretty much anything you want to use as your miniatures and your terrain. And again, the game is really easy to understand. No one showed me how to play. I learned just by reading the rules, and it was simple.
Yeah,
it's not really complex to understand. So that's 10 for me. Playability is really easy, really accessible. You can show someone how to play in 5 to 10 minutes and then start playing.
Yeah, for me, I gave it also 10 for the playability. I think, anyone can play, and it is an interesting game at the same time, which is really great. It's easy to understand, but there's a lot of depth to it, which is great. So on that note, we'll go into the mechanics, which I did say there's some depth to it. For sure there is from a strategic standpoint, but I feel that nothing feels substantial. All the decisions you make feel like you're doing nothing. And the game really feel like it plays out by itself, which is really, for me, the most frustrating experience I had with a war game ever.
Yeah, I think it's based on what the feel they're trying to give to the players, that a medieval general would not have a lot of control on his men. But it's to a point that it's frustrating for the player, because it's almost, okay, for the first 2 turns, I send my troops in this order, in these directions, and then I hope that they do well. Yeah.
And by that, he means that sometimes they don't activate, which means sometimes they just don't play. They don't care. There's some unit that charge automatically, which means that if they're close to someone, they're like, okay, so I charge. Even if I know I'm going to lose, I still need to charge. And your unit flees a lot. Like, they will lose one guy, and then your whole unit flees.
Morale is important.
Yeah, for sure. It's
these
important,
types of games. And that's one thing that we're still trying to balance for Battle for Diratia. But
yes. But in Battle for Diratia, you might lose like 1 or 2 guys might flee, and then you rally them to a second line and stuff like that. You have more control on how things played out. For Lion Rampant, I really remember one point where I was like, you were telling me, well, your unit flees. I was like, where? You were like, there. And then they moved there. And then the next turn they didn't move. And then they flee. And then they weren't there. And it was like, so I didn't control them once. I was like, you moved there for there, and the rest played out by itself. For me, it's too frustrating. I can't.
Yeah, it's one attack, your troops flee, and you lose them.
But as we said earlier, for playability, it is still a game that has a lot of depth to it, for sure. It's just that it feels like it's a really good game, I feel, for reenactment, because the battle plays how a real battle plays, for sure. And that's why I think the mechanics are good for what it's there.
A lot of them, I can tell you that most of the games result in very, very similar outcomes. Yeah. And that's the one thing where I don't like it, because no matter the tactics that you use, no matter what is happening, no matter if I have 3 times the men that you have, the outcome often is that we lose similar amounts of men and the others flee. Yes. And it's just the one that has more troops that don't flee that wins.
Yeah, exactly. Like real warfare, pretty much.
Yeah, but what I mean is that if I have 100 men and you have, let's say, 3,000 men, and my 100 men go against your 3,000, I'm going to kill 50 of your men, you're going to kill 50 of my men, and my men are going to flee.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the game. And exactly. I can tell you the result already. And that's the problem. Because even if my 100 men are really good, that's going to be the result. So that's the one thing I really don't like about it. It's that the results are really predictable, and it's not even in your control what's happening. So that's why for mechanics, I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 6. I think one of the reasons is, as Declan said, he played more than me. So he has a bigger experience on that field for it, for sure. So that's explain our score. Now for immersion. I'll start because I've been starting for this whole episode. So, I'm keeping my place.
Yeah, go ahead.
As the leader. So you can do whatever you want because this is Lion Rampant. So even if I'm the leader, you can do whatever you want. So for immersions, this game is not immersive. It feels like, you're a general before a battle, preparing your battle and showing the people what they need to do with sticks. That's how the game feels for me. It doesn't feel like the battle itself. It doesn't feel like you're watching the battle. It just feels like you're explaining the battle to someone, which can be kind of cool, but it's not for me. And I don't feel it immerse me in anything. I just feel I see a game. Like it feels like a game purely. So I give it a 3 out of 10 for that. So you can go ahead.
Yeah, there's a few elements of immersion that makes you feel like you're a medieval leader, like the fact that your troops don't listen to you, like the fact that you can challenge the opposing leader to a duel, and if you lose,
wait, I just want to
your leader
right here.
Of all your troops flee.
Exactly, but not just that. Okay, so the leader duel, don't go thinking it's an epic duel between 2 leaders. It's one roll.
Yeah, it's one roll. So you roll one
Everything
dice, the one that wins. That's it.
That's it.
So basically, if I can go with my leader, run up to your leader, say, I challenge you to a duel, and you accept, we do one roll, and it's almost certain the winner of that duel wins the battle. That's it.
Exactly. So you can play Yu-Gi-Oh! Literally. You just go to someone and say, it's time to duel. And that's it. Now it's time to duel.
So I give it a 4 for immersion.
Good. For support.
No, okay. So for support, it's Osprey. So
yeah,
it has some base of support that's obvious. It's not a small company that isn't communicating with people. So it has a big support base there. The only thing is Osprey releases so many games that it's a really small part of their whole ecosystem. So there's not a lot of specific support for Lion Rampant. So there's no Facebook groups, or there are some forum discussions on Osprey forums, but Lion Rampant, like I said,
just for generic role wargaming people.
Yeah.
As I was saying, one of the things I really like that they do is that pretty much anything you want to do, either Modern Warfare or fantasy or anything, they have a set of rules for it. Even if they're not compatible, which is baffling for me. You have all these books that are not compatible. That's so weird, but they still have all these books. So if you have a battle that you want to play out, especially an historic one, you want to do D-Day or something like that, then there's these miniature and you just want to show it off, while you can find a game that will cost you $10 for the PDF and be able to play. And that's it. Whatever thing you want to emulate for Wargaming.
Yeah, but like I said, you have to relearn a whole new system.
Exactly.
It's not all of their systems that are $10, like Lion Rampant.
Lion Rampant is less than $10.
It's $10 US for the PDF and $15 US for the physical copy.
So, how much did you give it?
So I give it a 6 for support.
I give it a 7 because I like the idea of having everything in one company,
Yeah.
So it's still pretty close score. So what's your total score, Dan?
So that's 64 for me.
For me, it's 67, which I gave it a better score, which it's kind of indicating of the game. The more you play, the more boring it gets because Dylan played more and he gave it a lower score. So I feel that's how this game will go. You can't just buy the system and be like, that's the only thing I will use.
Yeah.
Impossible. It works for one thing and that's it.
And would you buy this game for $10?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think $10 is okay for this.
For sure.
If you want to have a quick medieval skirmish with one of your friends during a weekend. Games are pretty quick as well. I think one game for us was an hour or something like that. So it's not a super long game. So if you want to have a quick game with one of your friends on a weekend, you can pick this up for $10, play it out.
I would still go for the physical copy for sure. Just because it's not that much pricier. Like, I mean, 15, it's pretty cheap. And it's fun to have a physical copy of a game.
Yeah.
I would make a personal box. Personally, how I would do it is just find the cheapest kind of knight figures that you have. Like, the gray one you can buy at the dollar store. Find a box, buy that book physical, put it all in the same box, and you have a pretty good, tabletop game that you can just show to your friend, whatever.
And it's a quick, easy game that. So if you want to introduce someone to a war game, it's an perfect. Easy way. Yeah.
Except the fact that it's frustrating a lot, but I think it's important because I think more and more players for tabletop are coming from the video game. I know myself, I started doing tabletop before video game, but I know more and more every day. That's more and more the kind of player that we get. Every time I introduce a new player to tabletop, it's always someone that was interested in video game that wants to try something physical.
Yeah, and I think it's something that, right now is difficult because of COVID, but it's something that people realize after some time that having a physical game with your friends face to face really is fun, and it has some benefits that you don't have with a video game.
No, exactly.
And I think it's something that keeps role-playing games and war games alive.
Yeah. And that's why we did one. So we're going to go into the conclusion. So Dragon Rampant, good game for what it does, really specific. And then for our sponsored link, you can find everything in the description below. We have Battle for Diratia. We have the Patreon. We have a link for if you want to buy a Calimuscle sword. Go check them out.
Our miniatures.
Amazing. Yes, too, on my mini factory.
Get a Shadow of the Conqueror shirt or a Diratia shirt if you want.
Wait, I'm not done.
Again?
Yes. Write in the comments what game you want us to review next. And also write us what's your favorite game right now. And also you can check us out on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on Deezer, on Tidal. We have our own website.
We have too many links.
All the links are below, so you'll check them out.
If you like what we do, make sure to subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next review. Have a great day.
And if we get at least 2 likes, we're going to start talk about Warhammer at some point. So see you at some point.